fried fish everywhere, and it's a delight. Fried fish, beer, polka. What could get more Milwaukee than that? And what can get better than that, really? I mean,
fellow wanderers, this is Joseph here. Thanks for joining me for episode 12. For fellow wanderers, we're just time we sit back and chat with somebody that's around the globe somewhere, which we all are, spinning on this thing at about 150,000 million miles an hour and having the time of our lives wandering around and enjoying ourselves and each other and everything that we have around us. And I love to interview people and just see where their neck of the woods. And this is for episode 12. I have an authentic Wisconsinite with me, somebody that lives in Wisconsin. I'm from Wisconsin, but I keep interviewing people from outside of Wisconsin. I had somebody that was currently living in Wisconsin in one of my episodes, but she's really from Texas, and it came through very strong. But we have Randy Knie with us. Knie or Knee? Now that I say that, it's Knie.
Knie, yes.
Knie, yeah. How many people mess up your name?
Oh my gosh. When people ask my name, I don't say it, I spell it. I say Randy Knie, Knie. I even save them the process of that because I've been called everything except for Knie usually.
I'm going to say Knie.
You can do what you want. Yeah, for the
Knie.
listeners, it's a silent K, Knie. So Knie, Knee, everything.
Well, it's Randy Duss, and Randy is from Milwaukee area. He's not technically lives in Milwaukee, but we're going to get to where he lives in a town that shortens its name for the public, and I want to see what the real name of that town is. But he's also this is my first really famous person too, because he's a podcaster also. And I fancy myself to be a pretty big deal out there. And so I get pretty big deal people with me. And if you're watching online, we both have black hoodies on. I never even wear a hoodie like this that much. And we both have black hoodies on, not planned. I channel my person I'm going to interview, and I'm usually come pretty darn close. So this is what I felt like today. Wear my manifesto shirt, seek allies, be an ally. This is what you're about, where you're at. But he's also a podcaster, where he actually has an engineer and sound guys, and he's a big deal. And it's called A Pastor and a Philosopher Walk into a Bar. Or is it a philosopher and a pastor walk into a bar? Which one is it?
A pastor and a philosopher walk into a bar.
Pastor and a philosopher walk into a bar. And I asked Randy not to tell us if he's the pastor or the philosopher, and you get to decide what you think he is.
Awesome.
It's a very unique podcast where they talk about culture and the church and just American culture, and just you had an issue on debate and how to discuss. It was really good, but it's a new podcast. I would love for y'all to look at it, and I'm going to put it in my show notes.
Awesome. Thank you, Joseph.
But Randy, you do something kind of unique in that podcast, is that because you walk into a bar and you have a drink with your fellow podcaster and engineer. What was the genesis of that idea for that podcast?
First we came up with a name. We wanted a name that kind of is catchy and fun, and really quickly came up with that name. And then way further into it, we had the idea of, usually when for a podcast, especially ours are longer than 30 minutes. Usually ours are about an hour. And usually there's some banter in the beginning that's just kind of useless.
Frivolous.
Yeah. And we didn't want to do that. So we thought, what's a way to make it more engaging? What if we actually make it more like we're actually walking into a bar? Because we don't have that's not part of the theme, because of we're actually at bars, but we want to manufacture the kind of conversations that you have with someone at a bar or cafe kind of thing, that kind of feel.
Yeah.
And so we do the tasting to be a little unique, and probably some people really enjoy it. Probably some people listen just for the tasting. And then probably a lot of people skip right over it because they don't really care about what a bourbon or a beer tastes like. But we have fun.
I love it. I can give you my 3 cents on it. Do you want that? I'll give it to you live. I love that part of it. I would actually crack the whatever you're going to do at the beginning
Uh-huh.
taste it a little bit, but don't give me a lot of essence of the notes and things until the very end. You can say, hey, but we'll get back to this at the
Interesting.
very end
I
while
like
we're
that.
tasting it during the podcast. That's what I would do, but I'm not the
That's fun.
engineer. You have a paid engineer, and he probably makes big
No,
bucks. I got mine off
no.
to the side here and back, and my producers are all around me telling me what to do. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, a pastor and a philosopher walk into a bar. It's a great podcast. Again, just to check that out. Well, so you're from Milwaukee, Randy. How long have you been in Milwaukee?
Pretty much all my life. Lived in Madison for couple of years and enjoyed Madison, but knew I was going to be heading back to Milwaukee. That was probably 15, 20 years ago.
Yeah,
But Milwaukee has been home for me.
I've told people my whole life. So I grew up in Wisconsin, then I left for a while, and I never actually went to Milwaukee until, and I'm 45. I never went to Milwaukee until I was 40 or 41.
Are you kidding me?
Nope, never. I only went there because my daughter went to college down there. That's how
Yeah.
we met, was actually through my daughter.
Yeah.
Um,
Wow.
yeah, never went there, and now it is quickly becoming my favoriteest of all cities.
Really?
I absolutely love it. But tell me what's there that is not on the normal map that you think, man, if somebody's gonna come to Milwaukee, like what's
Hmm.
brewing in Milwaukee
Yep.
that people need
Well,
to
I
know about?
mean, yeah, first, it's a Midwestern city, right? Which means something. I feel like Midwestern cities, whether it's Milwaukee, Indiana, or Indianapolis, Kansas City, even St. Louis, maybe to a certain extent, they have a similar feel, which is neighborly, which
Hmm.
is flat, but it's just, there's kind of a vibe. And I would say Milwaukee has that kind of friendly, neighborly feel to it that you're going to instantly find. But what I think Milwaukee has to offer over, sorry, friends from other Midwestern cities, but over and above other Midwestern cities is a great lake, right? We're on Lake Michigan.
He's shouting
And
out to you, Minneapolis, St. Paul.
yeah, yeah, sorry guys. But that's a huge deal. I remember being in Indianapolis for work. It was in February, I think, right before COVID hit.
Yeah.
And we were walking around. I love downtown Indianapolis. I think it's like a mini Chicago. I was just enjoying it. But then I was like, it seems like right over there to the east, there should be a lake. There
There
should be this
should
thing
be.
that feels like an ocean because that's what good cities have, right?
Yeah.
So Milwaukee has Lake
But they
Michigan.
got
We've
that
also,
good good sewer system they call a canal that's
right,
going through it.
right.
They got
Yep,
that.
yep. Oh yeah,
Yeah, I mean,
Indianapolis is great, but Milwaukee, Milwaukee also has a rich cultural heritage. So there's
yeah.
formerly Polish neighborhoods, there's formerly Italian neighborhoods, there's formerly German neighborhoods, which are now different ethnicities, but you can feel it in the city. I've had people tell me that the architecture in Milwaukee is just stunning because it is an older city. It was founded in the mid 19th century, and there's beautiful, stunning architecture in different neighborhoods, particularly downtown, where you have a river, you have the Lake Michigan. I could gush and go on and on about Milwaukee, but I think it's culturally rich. Milwaukeeans know how to summer really, really well. We come out, we hibernate, unfortunately, in
Yeah.
wintertime, but then summer hits and everybody's out.
The parks and stuff are full. Tons of green space. If
Tons.
you've never looked at Milwaukee on a map, it's got the rivers going through it. Not unlike Chicago, but Chicago is so much concrete that it's almost overwhelming.
Mhm.
Milwaukee is a very navigable city. Just driving around, just the little districts and the little wards that they have. I actually did kayak once in the river,
Nice.
through the Harley up to the Harley Davidson, and then
Yeah.
back, did the little area, and man, it's magical. The city walks you have along the river, and then
Yep.
of course the Lake Michigan, which on a good summer day, and I'm coming from somebody that loves the Caribbean and Cancun's my home. There's times there that it's like I'm could be at the
Yeah.
Caribbean Ocean for all I know.
Totally. It's just
It's
not nearly as warm.
no, no, it was
Yeah.
bathwater the last time I was there, down south. But what
Yeah.
are some things that people want to visit there in the Milwaukee area that just isn't normal? I mentioned, Harley's
Hmm.
headquarters is there, and they have the amazing museum. But what are some things that you find, man, if your friends are going to come in from out of town, and you're like, hey, you got to go see this?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think uh, if you come on a weekend, which you should, Friday Fish Fry is a thing. You're in Wisconsin, so everyone
Yeah.
in Wisconsin knows about Friday fish fries. But if you're not from Wisconsin, you got to do a Friday fish fry, and you have to do it at the Lakefront Brewery. For me, that's the Milwaukee quintessential Milwaukee experience: is make a reservation, do a brewery tour. So Lakefront Brewery
Yes.
is this little microbrewery, but it's phenomenal, and they have the best brewery tours in the city. And for those of you who are in different cities and brewery tours doesn't sound like it's a thing in Milwaukee. We have multiple breweries where you can go and tour, but these guys they're probably half comedians and half beer experts. And then you get to drink beer along the way. They give you a pint and you get a couple of them along the way. So it's just this
Yeah.
fantastic experience. You get to the brewery tour and then you go upstairs and they have an old German beer hall where it's family style fish fry. So it's one big room. They have a polka band playing
Yeah.
live, which I guarantee you'll never find outside of Milwaukee, almost guarantee you. And you can dance. There's families dancing, doing the chicken dance or whatever polkas are going.
Yeah.
And then there's just fried fish everywhere, and it's a delight. Fried fish, beer, polka. What could get more Milwaukee than that? And what can get better than that, really? I mean, come on.
And family style, really, in a lot of ways too. It's because it's almost
Yeah.
picnic table-ish. Like you're just kind of sitting around hanging out with people.
Yep.
My last polka band
Absolutely.
I
So
ever heard was actually in Milwaukee.
love
It
it.
was
Yep.
it was happening at a brewery.
It's a good time. Yeah. I would also recommend if you're coming during this. Well, first of all, I might recommend coming during the summer. There's things to do in the winter, but Milwaukee is just a totally unique. I think it's the best place to be between about May and September, and there's many
Yeah.
reasons for that. One is the Brewers. Milwaukeeans know how to tailgate, so you got to tailgate at a Brewers game, which means you just got to grill out on this big concrete jungle and play bags or play catch and just do it right.
Bags,
Catch a
for
Brewer
those of you
game,
that are
but
wondering,
also,
bags, for those of you wondering, is some call it cornhole, some call it bags.
hmm
It's when you throw your little bean bag over into this other hole about 25 feet away, and you go back and forth. It's on ESPN Ocho, so I don't know why people don't know about it, but just in case you're referenced with his bags.
I mean, when you say it that way, it sounds kind of silly, but it's a good time. Summerfest is also a huge deal in Milwaukee.
Yeah.
Over 1 million people come to the city. It's the world's largest outdoor concert festival, I believe, in the world. I think that's the stat they say. There's always tons of national acts that are playing at the same time for about a week and a half straight. And Milwaukee also then has these ethnic festivals where almost every weekend during a normal summer, there'll be Festa Italiana, and then there'll be Mexican Fiesta, and then there'll be African World Festival, and then there'll be
There's
Irish
a
Fest.
there's a Polish one too, or something, isn't
There's
there?
a Polish
Yeah.
one, there's a German one, and this is just celebrating Milwaukee's cultural heritage and history with delicious food, music, and again, because we're Milwaukee, beer. But they're
Yeah.
a great time.
Um, when I did my tour with my brother who grew up in Wisconsin also never went to Milwaukee, and he moved out to the West Coast, and he wanted to go to Milwaukee. I'm like, you got to go to the city, man. I can't believe our parents never brought us here. And
Absolutely.
we did. I said the best way of seeing Milwaukee is to go to all of the Collectivo coffee shops, which is a Milwaukee
That's
coffee
a good
shop,
one.
and actually go to every one of them in one day. And
It's a good idea.
I think we did 11, something like that.
Oh,
A
wow.
lot. We did a lot. We started
Wow.
early. We ended it late. We had a lot of coffee. We went to every one of them, and we ordered at least one thing and just kind of walked around that neighborhood.
I always base my days around where I want to eat. In Milwaukee, you could, because of the rich ethnic background, there's all sorts of fun, adventurous things to eat,
Hmm.
places to stop at that you got to just like either check out Yelp or know an insider who can tell you,
Yeah.
where to go. There's a place right across from the Bayview Collectivo. I'm sure you were there, Joseph,
Hmm.
called Guanajuato's. It's
No,
the best salsa I've ever had in my life. We need to go the next time you're in
I
the
usually
town.
don't do Mexican restaurants. I stick with the Asian when I'm in Milwaukee.
Okay.
But
Well,
I'll
there's
go
plenty of
I'll do
those
a
good ones.
Polish one too. Mainly because I feel like we have Casa Mexicana up here. So, I mean, can I get it? I just had Taco John's today. I mean, do I need anything else?
Uh,
Maybe.
text
You,
text me when you're in
you'll
town. We
bring
will
me
go
there.
to.
I
Yes.
love that little neighborhood too. Where do you, and you got several kids.
hmm
Where do you guys go when you just want to get out of the city? Is there any little small towns around Milwaukee or in southern Wisconsin that you just love to be at, or even
I mean,
farther? I mean, God forbid, Illinois. Would you and go to Illinois? Would you?
no, no, to
No.
be honest
Okay.
with you.
Thank you.
With COVID, we really actually got to know the rural areas around Wisconsin, around Milwaukee, because we wanted to just get out of the house.
Yeah.
And so we'd go to in Milwaukee-ish cities are going to sound so crazy because of the Native American names, but Kewaskum is this great little town north of West Bend where there's state forest there. There's let's see here, west of Milwaukee, there's the Lake Country, which is
Hmm.
fantastic. There's a bunch of lakes. It's a suburban area, but also there's all sorts of trails. For me, it's about the outdoors. If I get out of the city, I need to be outdoors. I'm not interested in farm fields or, uh, suburbs. I'm
Yeah.
interested in what's outdoors. So there's tons and tons of state forest trails around Milwaukee. And then we still have Lake Michigan where you can go up and down, and all of a sudden bluffs explode out of the ground and it feels like you're in Ireland in some
Yeah.
ways. It's really fantastic. Yeah, Sheboygan, Manitowoc, those areas, the lakefront gets stunning.
Friends, he was actually mentioning names. He wasn't swearing at us there when he said Sheboygan and Manitowoc.
Oconomowoc.
Oconomowoc.
Yeah,
Oconomowoc is the only single voweled
that's
uh,
interesting.
city in Wisconsin.
I'm sure there's not many anywhere, to be honest with you, but
It's all O's. Oconomowoc.
yeah, there's a
All
fun
O's.
there's a fun YouTube video that has people who are not Wisconsin natives, never been there, trying to say Wisconsin city names,
Yeah.
and it's a riot. It's really fun.
Sent me a text the other day because you were listening to my podcast
Hmm.
and you were a little upset with me. I had never been to New York.
Yeah.
Is so New York's where it's at for you? Or is that
Yes. Yeah. I mean, New York, I would say is probably the. I've been to quite a few major cities in the world, and I think New York is still the best. New
really?
York is incredible. Yeah, I mean, when I went there for the first time, I flew into, I think it's LaGuardia. Yep, and you're in New Jersey. You come across and you go under the tunnel. You go under the Hudson River, I think it is,
Yeah.
and then you come out into Manhattan, and it took my breath away. And the thing that I felt like was, this is a city built on a scale that I've never imagined existed in my life.
Really?
Like Chicago's a really big city. Manhattan it makes Chicago look like a Lego city in many ways.
Wow.
It's just incredible. And again, the thing that I love about Milwaukee is the thing that I love about New York, just on a bigger scale. It's so diverse as far as ethnicities and
Yeah.
cultural things going on there, so that the food is crazy. If you go to New York, I think you have to do a couple of tours as well, because there's so much there with so much history
Yeah.
that if you pay 30 or $50 and you can get on these tours where you can be outside on the roof of the bus in the summertime or when the weather's decent, or inside, but they'll make stops and you can get off at Soho, or you can get off in Greenwich or Lower East Side, and then you can hop back on and get the whole tour, and it's a great way to see the city. But
I don't know why I'm just into Mexico lately, and it's not
mhm,
just I love Cancun, but I just to go to some of these internal cities I'm reading about, or even Mexico City, which is probably bigger than New York,
yeah,
um, and
yeah.
but yet that seems less intimidating to me for some reason.
That's so interesting. Yeah, I mean, foreign cities have a different feel to them, and
Yeah,
it's a different way of navigating through a city where you don't speak the language, and yeah,
I speak the language in Mexico City. It's called carne asada
yeah,
and
baby,
El
there it is.
Pastor taco.
El Pastor, that's my jam. Yes, I love it. I would love to go to Mexico, particularly with you. How about that?
Yeah, let's. I would. You and me in Mexico City would be pretty fun.
I see a docu series in our future where we're like a travel vlog or something.
We can merge our podcasts.
How about that?
A
Let's do it.
pastor and a philosopher with a Yahoo walk into Mexico City.
Wandering pastor and philosopher. Yeah, something like that.
What's one place you've been to you wish you never went back,
Ooh,
or wish you? You just don't. You don't ever.
just
It,
don't need to go back.
yeah, or it doesn't have to be a bad place. Just like I don't. I don't ever need to go back to San Francisco.
No, I wouldn't say that about San
I would.
Francisco.
I would go to San Francisco. I mean, people like I'd go there. You have to go to San Francisco once in your life for a while and
Hmm.
soak it in because there's again a lot of really cool stuff there. I
I'm
don't need
a
to go back.
So I'm a big city guy. I
Yeah,
love cities, and so I can't think of one major city that I'm just not interested in. Maybe some smaller Midwestern cities that are just kind of just boring.
yeah,
but I'm not going to name names
He's
to
looking
make
at
people
you,
mad. But
Madison.
no, I'm not. Maybe Appleton, maybe, but I don't want to get that kind of hate. Um, I would say, as far as places that are just kind of uninteresting, let's say, um, man, I have a hard time, to be honest with you. I- It would have to be a really crummy place to say, I don't need to come back here.
Yeah.
There's like the Gary, Indianas of the world. I hope no one's from Gary. Let me put that on the list. Gary, Indiana.
Gary, Indiana.
I don't need to go back there. Yeah.
I would almost say the same thing for New Orleans.
What? What?
I mean, maybe I was there for like 3 days. We did it. I
Dude,
liked it. I wouldn't need to go back. It wasn't that I don't like it. I didn't like it. It was a great experience.
so interesting.
But
So I have the completely opposite experience with New Orleans. That's probably in my top five cities in the U.S. for me.
really,
Yeah.
that's your fat jam. You'd go back and do it.
Oh my gosh. I mean, again, I'm a foodie.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we just ate our way through New Orleans, and I've got a friend who owns a restaurant in Milwaukee, a couple of restaurants, Maxie's, Southern Comfort, which is a New Orleans style,
Hmm.
Story Hill, BKC, and Blues Egg. I'm just giving my friend some love. If you're from Milwaukee,
Yeah.
go to those places. But he as part of his job as a chef, a Cajun chef, he will go down to New Orleans and get the best places for po' boys, get the best places
Yeah.
for gumbo and jambalaya, get the best places for, beignets or whatever it is. And so we just ate our way through New Orleans, and I don't know if I've had a better trip. It was just, and the French Quarter is just
Okay, so I
magical.
gotta go back. I would
You
do
got
it.
to go back.
I
You got to
love
go
food
back.
too. To me, it's all about food.
Yes. Yeah,
It,
I had a similar experience in Charleston. Charleston caught me off guard. I went for a wedding to officiate, and they're just.
oh,
I've been trying to.
well, we let it out of the bag that Randy is not the philosopher, but you probably
Clearly.
got that already from his. I was trying to say he's not really against anybody. Um,
Yeah, it's true.
so
But Charleston caught me off guard. I wasn't expecting much, and it's similar to New Orleans. It's got this old European feel because it's an old city, and the
mhm.
culture and the food there is just off the charts. It's beautiful. If you haven't been to Charleston, put it on your list.
I've never been any of that area over there.
Oh man, like
Yeah,
Charleston, they have this ordinance, this rule that no buildings can be taller than a church steeples
yeah.
because the view is just littered with church steeples everywhere. It feels like you're in
That's
colonial
kind of like
America.
Milwaukee, though, bro.
Yeah, yeah,
You in
there's
Milwaukee, I was in a hotel the other day. I counted 11 church steeples from
it's true.
my like. It's crazy there. I mean, they got
Yeah,
obviously
no,
other taller buildings.
Milwaukee is lots of bars and lots of churches.
Um, New Orleans, did you find on Bourbon Street? We were there. Like we walked on it like maybe 7:30 at evening, and
Uh-huh.
I swear at 8 o'clock at night when it started getting a little dark and dusk, I swear a switch flipped,
Oh,
and
sure.
you're like, whoa, where did all these people come from? And like there was there's some
Yeah.
risque things going on. Um,
New
it,
Orleans is, yeah, risque is right.
yeah,
In Bourbon Street, I went a couple times just for the spectacle
yeah,
at night because it surely is a spectacle. It's wild. It's shoulder to shoulder, when things are normal, and it's fun to just be a part of once or twice.
yeah.
But that was not my highlight. Bourbon Street was interesting, but there's other areas in the French Quarter. I loved getting a beignet at Cafe Du Monde
Hmm.
and then sitting on the Mississippi because it's right behind there.
Did that.
I will say for New Orleans, I loved the French Quarter, but I had my fill of it. After about 3, 4 days, I was like, I could go without seeing.
Yeah,
It's the dirtiness and the kind of risqueness of it kind of got to me after a while.
yeah.
So I hit my limit with it, but I loved that city.
That's probably what I did. I probably only did the touristy things.
Sure,
Never,
sure.
yeah, and getting out. And that's super hard for people like us from small town. Even though I've been a traveler, I get out and see things. It's always in me to go where I got to stay in the zone. I have to stay in the area, and
Hmm.
that whole wandering a couple streets away, like when
Yeah.
you're in Rome or some of these other places, you like you start finding your way down these side roads. Where I remember we were in Athens too. Like, oh, don't go
Hmm.
over there. But we're the group. We're like, it looks like there's something a couple blocks away. And you walk, and you're like, oh, you came into the where everybody normally lives and breathes and works. And it's a hard thing to do, to break through that, right?
Hmm.
In any life of any thing you're involved with, you want to stay in what you're comfortable with.
Particularly when you're traveling globally, Americans have such a stereotype about us that we're loud, we're, kind of annoying. And I find that when you're traveling globally, if you kind of know that stereotype and you kind of stay out of it and
Mhm.
be quiet, be a learner, why wouldn't you want to be a learner in
Yeah.
a city that you've never been to? Ask a lot of questions. You get treated really, really well, and things
Mhm.
get way less scary when you're just kind of relaxed and you want to be an observer, you want to be a learner. That's part of why I love traveling so much anyways, is because the world is just so full of wonder to me,
Yeah.
that I'm addicted with seeing new places, meeting new people, hearing about a lot of times when you wander off the beaten path like that, I feel that's when you find the gold. You find the great restaurants, you find the fun neighborhoods, or you get to talk to real people that will actually tell you this is where you got to go, instead of the touristy, tourist spots that, for the most, in some cities I'm interested in the tourist spots. In other cities, most cities, I'm interested in where the locals hang out
Yeah.
and where the real good stuff is.
Well, friends, my producer's whispering in my ear that would be an amazing spot to cue the music.
I think that sounds great. Yeah.
Because usually I ask for last words, but that was pretty good, and I liked it. And you found out that Randy is a pastor and not a philosopher. And if you're watching this online, I do put this up on YouTube or their video. You will notice he has some books behind him, like every good pastor does. Has a couple books on the table. He's never
Yeah,
read Josephus, but he's got it back there,
just to show off.
just to show off. But good word there of getting outside and traveling off the beaten path. And again, be a learner. Be a learner as you go out and about and wander around. People love that. People appreciate that. And in every culture, you'll be welcomed into people's homes in a very safe way, welcome into their culture, welcome into their families when you do that. So good word, unless you have
Brilliant.
another final word.
Well, no, I would just say of all the places I've been to, my favorite place that has that spot in my heart is actually not your literal backyard, but northern Wisconsin is a magical, magical place that I have high, high on my list, and it feels like home. So northern Wisconsin is a gem, particularly Oneida and Vilas County.
You might have been in my backyard and not have known it.
Could be, could be.
You just don't know,
Yeah.
because I got nothing but woods around me, and you got nothing but homes. We never did get to my initial conversation. This isn't the end of the show, by the way. That was what you call
Good.
a false lead.
Don't listen to your producer.
Um, you live in the town called Wauwatosa.
It's true. Yeah, good
Um,
name.
Wauwatosa, and most people call it not that, do they?
Just Tosa.
They just say Tosa.
It's true.
Tosa. Talk to me about that little town, which is just one town over
Yeah.
from Milwaukee, and it feels like it's a whole nother culture, and you find that people appreciate Milwaukee there, but they don't wait around for Milwaukee to create things for them.
No. Yeah, I mean, Wauwatosa is like like you said, Joseph, it's bumping up against the city of Milwaukee. So it feels very urban. It feels very the houses are close together. If there's neighborhoods,
Hmm.
where you don't go to Wauwatosa to spread out and have all sorts of room. You go to Wauwatosa because you're interested in this just a great neighborhood that's local. You can be downtown in 10, 15 minutes if the traffic is good. But it's also just this real great hotspot in the Milwaukee area for little shops, little restaurants. It's walkable. There's this area called the Village that we talk about, and it's got a park on one side, and it's got shops, restaurants, bars on the other. Tosa is a great place. There's a lot of families in Tosa, just lots and lots of young growing families, which makes it fun. And again, Milwaukee area is just all about the outdoor festivals, and so there's multiple festivals happening from spring to fall in the Tosa area in Wauwatosa, which sounds funny. Um,
Wawa. Why
but
didn't
yeah,
you? Yeah, how hard would it be for get everybody just calling it Wawa?
that'd be awful. That'd be bad.
How would you? Let's just go to Wawa.
Wawa. Yeah, I don't know. That
If I
just
ever move to Milwaukee, that's gonna be my single-handed thing I'm gonna try to recreate. I'm gonna recreate culture.
good. And yeah, I just am imagining a bunch of people with Wisconsin accents saying, "Let's go to Wawa."
Let's go to Wawa.
No
Wawa.
thanks. No thanks.
Wawa.
You're gonna kill Wauwatosa's population in about 5 years if you try to rename it Wawa.
Wawa.
Yeah. No, Tosa's great.
Alrighty, well, friends, thanks for joining me on this week's episode. And it's not even weekly; it's just this episode of Fellow Wanderer, my Small Town Wanderer podcast with Randy Knie, who is a pastor, and we learned he likes to drink beer also, and I think he even
Oh
smokes a
boy.
cigar every once in a while, and likes the North Woods and big cities. This guy is everything to everyone. He is all people to all men.
I've heard of
That's
something
why we
like
love
that.
him, and we're gonna throw up his podcast and ours and send that out to you. But hope you enjoy this time and enjoy our time together. So when in doubt, just get out and